Hello, everyone. This is Dr. Fish. All right, so I'm going to show you how to create a simple table in Microsoft Word. Once again, this is the downloaded version of Word. I will create another video at some point for the online version. How do you create a table in Microsoft Word? It's very simple. First of all, you need to know you need a visual. How many columns and how many rows do you need for your table? And let me back up. Really, the first step is to make sure wherever you want this table to appear, click in your paper. Let's say you're down in deeper into your paper, and maybe it's going to come after the second paragraph or the fifth or whatever it is. Put your cursor in position first. In other words, click in that position, and then you're going to go to Insert, and it's right here, Table. Now, understand the differences between rows and columns. Rows in a table, they go across. Columns, they go down. How can I remember that? If you're in a rowboat and you're going across, you want to get from one side of the lake to the other, you have to what? You got to row across, right? So that's the easiest way to remember. If you can remember rows, they go across, got to go across the lake. Columns go down. It's easy to remember that. Okay, columns are those are the ones that go down. So when we click right there on the table command, I'm going to put my cursor. I did not click. I just moved my cursor over that first cell right there. And it provides one row, right? In this case, we need 2 rows and 3 columns. So I'm going to move down one more. So now I have 2 rows. And I have 1 column, technically. Because if you notice what it put there, 1 column and 2 rows. So I'm going to move over. Now I have 2 columns and 2 rows. If you look to the right on my screen, we have 2 columns and 2 rows of a table. But remember, we want 3 columns and 2 rows. And so now we're at that point where we have 3 columns and 2 rows, and I'm going to click right where I am, where my cursor is. See it right there kind of moving? I'm going to click right there. Now I got my table. Okay, the first thing I do want you to know about a table is no doubt you can manipulate it. We can stretch it out, and I'll show that to you in just a second. But whatever you do, when you do start manipulating the table, do not move the table outside of your margins. If you haven't seen my video on margins, understanding margins, especially for APA, margins are 1 inch top, bottom, left, and right. Okay. So you don't want to stretch a table out beyond like your right margin or your left margin because you're trying to make sure that everything in the table can be seen. You can manipulate the data. When I say manipulate, you can edit, make the data. If you need to make it a little bit smaller, you can do that. Okay. You don't have to keep stretching the table out because, yeah, the more you stretch the table out, the larger your text or elements that you have inside of your table will become. Microsoft Word has this, it'll automatically readjust based on the size of your table. It'll adjust your text or like if you got numbers in there. So be careful with when you do start stretching it out. You want to, and I'll show again, we'll get to that in just a second. So let's go in here and just start typing. Let's say, you got your first heading right there, and that's not what it would be called, but I'm just using this as an example just to make a distinction. And I hit tab, by the way, to move to the next cell. And I'm going to hit tab again. And now this is the third heading. So we know we're going to have 3 headings. Whenever you have headings, you want to make sure the headings, I'm going back to the home tab, are centered and bold. Because again, that makes a distinction to let your audience know these are headings, right? So everything else below it, in this case, it's not going to be bold, right? In most cases, depending on what you're doing, in most cases, elements that are below your headings are going to be aligned left. Again, Microsoft Word is already defaulted to everything that's going to be in here will be aligned left. It'll be aligned left. So I'm just typing just to throw some information in here. I'm not typing real words, obviously. And I'm going to type a little bit more here. So you see what just happened, and this is what I wanted to happen. The more information, if you notice that you put when I was typing in these first two cells, it would stretch it out for you automatically. And what's already defaulted in here is called wrap text. Wrap text is a default, and we can always change it to fixed text, which you may not want to mess with that. But here it's already defaulted to wrap text, meaning you type, you keep typing, and it'll automatically wrap around. Unlike the old typewriter days when we had to, we wait for the bell to ring and then we had to grab the lever and pull it back over. You don't have to do that anymore. I've actually seen students, by the way, who I had to work with, and it didn't take long to get rid of that habit of thinking when I get to the end of a line, all I have to do is hit enter in Microsoft Word. I'm talking about when you're typing in your paragraphs. No, you don't. It's called wrap text. It will automatically wrap back around and bring you back over to your left margin, and you just keep typing. It's continuous typing until you get to your period, and unless you're starting a new paragraph. So anyway, so notice what happened. It automatically readjusted for us. Correct? It did not stretch out the table itself. Okay, again, that's why I say. Now, here's how you can manipulate it. So, see this little square right here? When I hold my cursor over this square, I can stretch it out. I'm going down, notice. I'm not going to the right because I don't want to go outside my right margin, and I'm going to let go. See that? So, you can do that as well. You can come in here, find a double-sided arrow on that line, which is very difficult. Not really. And then bring this back up. So you can manipulate, again, this table, the size of the table. If you notice, I stretched it out, and I'm going to click undo to bring us back to where we were. We can also resize each one of the columns. See that? And I can bring this, and notice this over here on the right-hand side, it did not go outside. It's not going to push your table outside of your right margin. So the key is make sure you stay inside your margins when you are playing around with your table as far as resizing. There are other options, several options here. Let me see something. Let me go to table layout. As far as the alignment of your text, of course, most of the time your text is going to be aligned left. It could be, you see these other options in here, align top like that. That's just for that individual cell. Then I'm going to put it back at align left. So you can actually change the alignment of it. But something that I wanted to show you is I'm going to go to table design. Now notice, let me do something real quick. I didn't mention this. Notice when I click outside of this table, those two tabs are no longer visible. But when I click inside the table, notice two tabs will appear on the ribbon. We have table design and table layout. Click on table design and then click right here on this down arrow. This is where it really gets really cool. So you can change the color, the design of your table to whatever you want it to be. Okay, whatever works. Now, when we talk about scholarly writing, it's probably best to just leave it. Don't add color. Okay, don't add color. Just keep it simple. Keep it plain. And I know you're like, I want to make it look better. I want to add some color in here. By the way, we can even come to the home tab. And if you wanted to add, and you got to be careful, by the way, with the color. You can probably get away with this in scholarly writing. Something like this, like a gray. But you don't want, when you start working with colors, do not, and I've actually seen students do stuff like this, believe it or not. Like that. I'm like, okay, I can't really see your headings, right? You see that? But you saw what happened with one of the options that it did give me. Let me go back to where I was. One of the options that it gave me was it automatically, I'm going to click right there. it automatically changed my headings. You see that? To the font color is white. So because that works better if you're going to use a black background feel like that, your font colors need to change. Okay. I think that's pretty much all I wanted to show you on the tables. Let me see. We can, what else? What else? If you wanted to make the lines of your borders a little bit thicker, actually we can even go. Oh, by the way, if you want to delete a table, you want to delete it, you can just, what I did was right here, make sure you move your cursor in here, you'll see this little box that will appear. You can right click and then delete the table. You can do that. You can distribute the rows evenly, the columns evenly. You can do auto fit. Let me see, auto fit to contents. See how it kind of reshaped it. It can do that for you versus what I showed you earlier, how you can manipulate and kind of edit, move the table, resize it. You don't have to do all of that. Word will do it for you. Okay. Um, I think that was probably. Oh yeah. Here's something else. Yeah. Glad I thought about this. What if you want to add another row in here? How do you do that? When you do it, first of all, remember what I'm about to tell you, and you'll see it in just a second. When you add another row, it will continue with the same format that you provided here for Microsoft Word. It's similar to when you're typing your paragraphs in Word. Let's say you start with your first line indent to the half-inch mark, and you finish typing that first paragraph. When you hit enter, have you noticed how Word will follow the pattern that you've already given it? By indenting the next line for you. In other words, you just start typing your next paragraph. Well, it works the same way here. So watch this. Put your cursor outside of the table and you'll see it flashing. And I'm going to hit enter. See how it gave me the same exact pattern that I have already given Microsoft Word. So it gave me the same thing all over again. So to prove that, I'm going to put my cursor up here. And remember, actually, it's still going to be the same. I think what it'll do is it's going to give me another row like that with that same color. So you see what I'm saying? So it gives us the same pattern that we've already provided for it. So if you needed more, you can do that. One last thing I want to show you is if you need to merge. Like let's say I wanted to merge the entire row together for whatever reason. I've had to actually do this, by the way. If I want to merge this entire row and make it one row right now, I'm sorry, merge the entire row and make it one column is what I meant to say. So basically, what we can do is I just clicked on table layout and I've selected these three columns. In other words, this entire row has been selected, right? So if I want to merge them and make them as one, it's right up here. I clicked on table layout and it's right here, merge cells. So now I'm going to click away. See, now it's just one entire cell by itself. Or one entire row, I should say. So I think that's pretty much it. I believe at this point you pretty much have the hang of, developing a table. And here's the key: if you are trying to create a table for, let's say, a paper or whatever for your job or whatever, and you get stuck, feel free to reach out to me. Post a comment. I'll be watching the comments. Reach out to me and let me know, what you're trying to do, and I'll be more than happy to help you. Also, my email is also provided under, let me see if I can go back to where I was. That email should be, if I go to my channel, and for years I didn't realize this, and I click on more, there it is. So you can view my email address and then you can send me an email if you need if you need some help with whatever it is that you are trying to do, I'll be more than happy to help. All right, so that's how you create a table. That's how you can edit, manipulate tables. That's just the basics of it. There's a whole lot more to it. Just like I said, if you got more questions beyond what I just showed you, let me know. I'm here for you. I will chat with you soon.